We have made it to October, the greatest sports month of the year. To prove it to you, Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards, NHL and NBA return soon, and my Milwaukee Brewers choked in the 9th inning and got kicked out of the postseason by the Mets. Speaking of getting kicked out, look where I am. Yeah, Hurricane Helene went right through my hometown, which at the time of me recording this has been 8 days without power. But while a hurricane was completely devastating the Southeast, the sports world moves on, including the MLB postseason, which gives me the perfect time to do one of my favorite videos: what if the NFL played a 162 game schedule? To begin, we must clarify the format the MLB plays in. We know their schedule is 162 games, but how do the divisions and playoffs work? The MLB is separated into 2 leagues, just like the NFL with conferences. In each league, there are 3 divisions of 5 teams. So I'm going to use this same format for the NFL. The only problem is that there are 32 NFL teams rather than 30 in the MLB, which means one of the 3 divisions in both leagues will have 6 teams rather than 5. So let's begin by taking a look at the new look NFC West. 2 things to keep in mind. Number 1, I wanted this to make sense geographically, and number 2, I try to maintain most of the divisions intact as they currently are right now. So the NFC West still has the Niners, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, but they added the Dallas Cowboys. Now let's go to the NFC Central. Fun fact, this used to be a thing before I was born in 2001, before the Texans came along, but it's still the NFC North. It's going to add the Saints and Titans. Kind of interesting. And here's the NFC East, which still has the Eagles, Giants, and Commanders, but it's going to add on the Falcons and the Panthers. If you think this doesn't make sense, let me go back to what I was saying. In 2001, the NFC West had the Falcons and Panthers. So those are the 3 NFC divisions. Now let's take a look at the AFC divisions with the West. Once again, it's the same. The Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, but they add their 5th team. It's going to be the Houston Texans. And then the AFC Central has the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, and Browns, but adding the Colts and Bills. So it's essentially the AFC North with 2 additions. And then finally, the AFC East, probably the worst division of them all. This is going to have the Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and then the Buccaneers and Jaguars. So here's a full look at what the new divisions look like. It's going to be kind of unfair for the Centrals, and you can probably guess why. Obviously, it's because they have an extra team, and not to mention that these divisions are already stacked enough, so it's going to be harder to win division for 6 teams instead of 5. Now, before I start the simulating, I'm also keeping track of stats of players as well, because I want to see their total tallies after 162 total games. So here's some quarterbacks. We have Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and then we have the founding fathers in the NFC right now. Weirdly enough, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield. But that wasn't even mentioning the best quarterback in the NFC right now, the rookie Jaden Daniels. I'll be stat tracking, and then alongside Dak Prescott, into some receivers, I'll be tracking Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Stephon Diggs. You can see I'm trying to pick the most trendy and best players right now, which is why I'm including Nico Collins, who leads the league in yards at the time of recording this, and then Malik Neighbors, who leads the league in receptions. But more players, we have Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Reed, and then some running backs, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. And finally, 4 more running backs. I'll be tracking Alvin Kamara, Jordan Mason, the backup to Christian McCaffrey, and then I'm going to do an interesting dynamic with Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones to see which running back is better at their new homes. To prove I'm not pulling these numbers out of a magic hat, here's an Excel spreadsheet of all the data and numbers I will be collecting today. I know this is the most corporate 9 to 5 you'll ever see on my channel. Okay, one more thing for real this time. To make this video more interesting, as we progress, the injuries and fatigue slider is going to go up. So right now, we're starting at the base injury and fatigue at 25 and 50, but as we progress through the season, every 17 games, it's going to slightly go up until we get the max. So our first simulation is underway. I'll join back up at week 17. So Baltimore jumps out in the front early, but they got a long season to go. The worst start is the Tennessee Titans and Will Levis. I feel bad. They have to endure 162 games of him starting. The best passer I'm keeping track of course, will be Patrick Mahomes. Saquon Barkley is starting the season strong, 1,200 yards and 19 touchdowns. Receiving-wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the best player I'm keeping track of. Well, 17 games in, a full NFL schedule's worth. It's all downhill from here. Our division leaders currently are the Cowboys, Lions, and Eagles, though I doubt it will stay like that considering we have like 150 more games to play. Surprisingly, the Vikings are 4-13, which they have more wins in real life than they did in one entire season sim. Now let's look at the AFC, where we have the Chargers, Ravens, and Jaguars as division leaders. It's going to be a long season. I doubt this stays the same. Bengals finished 6-11, which at this rate, they'll probably finish that same record in real life as well. Now, this is something I forgot to mention in the intro. How do the playoffs work? Well, you'll see this graphic appear up every now and then. This is the wild card race graphic. We'll have 3 columns. We have the division leaders, the wild card, and in the hunt. Now, baseball playoffs is a little bit different. For whatever reason, there's 6 teams that make the playoffs in each league, but only 2 of the division winners will get buys. So as we stand right now, the Eagles and the Lions are the best division leaders, so they would have the buys right now, as the Dallas Cowboys leading their division wouldn't get one. They would have to play the 6th seed in the wild card, with the 4 and 5 also playing. And the same story goes for the AFC. Currently, our division leaders in the buys, with the Ravens and the Chargers, with the Jaguars following. The wild card consists of the Bills, Steelers, and Texans, and then in the hunt, you have the Chiefs, Dolphins, and Jets. So our first season's worth is over. Now it's time to bump up the injuries and the fatigue. Injury will go up 8 every year, and fatigue fatigue will go up 5, so we're up to 32 and 55. Now, this is something I mentioned last time I did this, which was well over a year ago, but the dynamics would be really interesting if this actually was to happen. I imagine you wouldn't have the same starting quarterback for every single game, so it'd be just kind of like the pitching position in baseball. You would have starting quarterbacks, relief quarterbacks, and then closing quarterbacks. So I can only imagine the Green Bay Packers, they start Jordan Love one game, they need to rest him, Malik Willis plays the next game. Or maybe the Buccaneers start Kyle Trask a game, he does really bad, down by a touchdown, they need someone to close it out, they bring in Baker Mayfield to win the game. So who did the best in this stretch? My Green Bay Packers represent 14 wins. You know, I was just saying the Jaguars division lead would not last for long. It's gonna last longer. 14 wins. The Patriots not looking so good, however. They're gonna have 2 wins in this stretch. Mahomes literally almost threw for 5,000 yards. 52 touchdowns and 9 picks. That's like the greatest MVP season ever. Derrick Henry with an impressive 17-game stretch, 1,400 yards and 22 touchdowns. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown is still the most impressive receiver right now. Look at this, 1,796 yards, 20 touchdowns, 114 catches. Well, 34 games in, not too movement in the standings, but we still have a long season to play. We're about a 5th way through. The Packers jumped the Lions in the Central, however. Gotta say, Madden is still disrespecting the Vikings. I don't think they should be 9-25 if this is a reflection on real life. And then to the AFC, same division leaders, the Jaguars up to 24 wins. They're not the best, however, because the Ravens at 26-8. And then you can see the Chiefs and Bengals are clawing their way back up into the mix. Now, I'm going to be curious today to see if a team can do worse than the Chicago White Sox did this year. The White Sox finished with a record of 41-121. Right now, the New England Patriots at 8 wins. They're the only closest team to be that impressively bad. Again, even though we're barely into the season, let's take a look at the wild card race. The Packers and the Eagles are the byes. But some separation is starting to be forming. The Lions, who are in a stacked division with the Green Bay Packers, up 7 games in the wild card, but currently still out of it is the Niners, Falcons, and Rams at 18-16 and 16-18. The AFC has the Ravens and Jaguars as the byes. The Chiefs have found their way into the playoff picture with the Bills and Texans in the wild card, and the Dolphins, Jets, and Steelers are in the hunt. So going into our third simulation, which I believe brings us to game 51, injury is at 40, fatigue is at 60. Oh my goodness, the Bengals are back. They went 16-1 in this stretch. I see we're still unnecessarily hating on the Vikings, however. Same goes for the Buccaneers. 4 wins? Really? So after 51 games, we're approaching close to the 3rd way mark of the season. The Packers remain on top of the Central. So do the Eagles, but we have a new team leading the West. It's the Seattle Seahawks. The AFC stays the same for the Central's East, but as well in the West, there's a new leader. The Kansas City Chiefs are now 35-16. I'm going to skip ahead some games to pass the halfway mark of the season to game 85. This has taken me a very long time, and I know you guys with TikTok attention spans are getting bored. But anyways, the injury's up to 56, the fatigue is up to 70. I've already noticed differences in the standings and stats of the players. Well, about time. The Vikings on top of the league with 13 wins. That's more like it. The Jaguars are still winning games constantly. Another 12-win stretch. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is the rushing leaderboard. Only one rusher over 1,000 yards. That was Joe Mixon. And receiving as well, very hurt. Justin Watson, a white dude, leads all the receivers. So back to the standings past the halfway point of this season. The Green Bay Packers looking really good, have a commanding 11-game lead over 2nd place in the Central. Now the AFC is very interesting. Looking at the West and Central, these divisions are stacked. First of all, the Ravens are the best team in the league at 61 total wins, but not too far behind the Bills at 59, and their entire division, the Bengals, Steelers, and Colts essentially all up there. Now this graphic is actually starting to be useful. Every game counts from here on out. The Green Bay Packers and the Eagles still hold a bye. The Packers by 7 games, in fact. As for the AFC, things are wide open. I imagine this will come down to the very last game to determine who makes the playoffs and who doesn't. Currently, the Ravens and Jaguars still hold the byes. And because we're at the halfway point, I figured I'd show you some stats for the best player at each position. Here's Mahomes. I wish I could show you a different quarterback, but he's just been so dominant so far through 85 games. 2,300 yards, 228 touchdowns, 52 picks, averaging 280 yards per game. This is essentially Aaron Rodgers' stats for his first year of his career. Or first few years of his career is what I meant to say, but here's Amon-Ra St. Brown for the wide receivers. He has 6,600 yards, 68 touchdowns, 474 receptions, averaging 13.9 yards per catch. And then our best running back currently is Derrick Henry, 5,500 yards, 79 touchdowns on 1,000 attempts, averaging 5.4 yards per carry. But as we saw the running backs, as fatigue and injury goes up, their stats go down. So honestly, it's probably not going to look too impressive from here on out. So I'm going to go ahead and jump up to game 119. Our running backs are essentially going to be in a vegetative state at this point. Our injuries are at 72. Our fatigue is at 80. I imagine they're going to go to change.org, start a petition for 2-hand touch only. And our passing game has taken a huge toll. The only passer above 4,000 yards was Josh Allen at 4,500. But you can see Mahomes, who was used to throwing 4,000 plus per every 17-game stretch, only down to 2,500. He probably got injured. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and I don't even know who this dude is. Chris Brooks just led the league in rushing yards at 873. Well, with only 43 games to spare, we know our contenders and we know our pretenders. The NFC is staying the same for the most part. The Packers, Eagles, and Seahawks still leading their division. As for the AFC, the Chiefs and the Bills have came alive. They're now the only teams over 80 wins. 82 for the Bills, 81 for the Chiefs. In the hunt, the Niners down by 2, Commanders down by 4, and the Vikings are still down by 6 games. As you can tell, I'm kind of cheering on them to make this comeback. The Ravens got knocked out of their division lead, so they're now a wild card team, even though they're 9 games up. The Dolphins and the Chargers are the other wild card teams. But in the hunt, we have the Bengals, the Steelers down by 1 game, the Texans down by 2 games, and you can't see it, but there's multiple other teams only down by like a handful of games that can definitely make the playoffs. Alright, beginning our second to last simulation up to game 153. Injury is at 88, fatigue at 90. This is awful. So Buffalo is fighting back for that number 1 seed. 9 wins for the Vikings. I don't know if that'll help that much. How about the best rusher? Sure, Tank Bigsby at 950. And with 9 remaining games, we are coming down to the wire. We've already had a few clinches. The Packers and Eagles have already clinched their division, so one of those teams is going to get a bye. Same story goes to the AFC, except they are much more top-heavy. The Chiefs and Bills have already clinched a spot. They've already clinched their divisions. Look at them, 108 wins, 107 wins. It's just a matter of who gets home field advantage at this point. So believe it or not, we've kind of had a switch. The NFC wildcard race is much more competitive now. Look at this. The Packers, Eagles, and Seahawks remain the division leaders. The wildcard Lions and Cowboys are up 6, but that final spot is going to be crucial. We don't know who's going to get it yet. The Falcons currently hold it at 81 and 72. The Vikings down by 1 single game now. Last time we checked, the AFC wildcard race was pretty close, but now it looks like teams are starting to pull away. We already know the Bills, the Chiefs, the Jaguars are division leaders. Current AFC wildcard is the Ravens, which will more than likely stay there, and then the Dolphins, and then the Steelers. But now 4 games behind the Chargers, 5 games behind the Bengals, and 7 games behind the Jets. I do not know if we'll see any changes, but it's definitely possible with 9 remaining games. Alright, the final simulation, 9 more games. I'm going to go ahead and bump the injuries and fatigue all the way up to 100. I mean, this is crazy. Literally like 20 players on every single team are on IR. I can just keep on scrolling down this list. This is like over half the league. So the Jaguars are 5-0. They might clinch their division. The Falcons are currently 4-1, which is good. They hold a wild card spot. But the Vikings are not backing down. They're also 4-1. Not a good look for Kansas City. They're probably going to choke away the number 1 seed. So here's the wild card race with 4 remaining games. We already have 5 teams to clinch, but that 6th seed is up for grabs. Either the Falcons or the Vikings. The Vikings are currently 1 game out of it at the moment. As for the AFC, we already have our buys. It'll be the Bills and Chiefs, but the Chiefs have kind of choked away their number 1 seed as the Bills will take it over. The Jaguars have clinched their division now, and you can see the wild card is up for grabs in the 6th as well. This time we have 2 teams in the hunt, the Bengals and Chargers, and the Dolphins currently hold the 6th. So this might be a little confusing, but the Falcons are going into game 162. If they win against the Cowboys, they lock up the 6th. But the Vikings are on game 160. They have to play the Colts and the Jaguars. If they win out and the Falcons lose to the Cowboys, then they take the 6th. Oh my goodness, the Falcons are getting blown out in game 162. They're going to leave the door wide open for the Minnesota Vikings. Let's see if they can win out. And so the Vikings barely won their game 161, beating the Colts 12-10, which means they are tied with the Falcons, and if they beat the Jaguars, then they take the 6th spot. Here it is, game 162 for Minnesota, win and in. The only problem is that Sam Darnold, of course, is injured, but Justin Jefferson isn't. That was an 8-yard pickup before the 2-minute warning. This is going to be a fake in the handoff. I believe this is Ripien in the game. He's going for a long shot and almost has a completion. 2-minute warning. The Jaguars have clinched the 3 seed in the AFC, but can the Vikings do the same? Bad pass right there. 4th and 2. Well, this could be the end of Minnesota's season. The run could end here, needing 2 yards. It's knocked away. It's a turnover on downs. Jaguars get the ball back. The Minnesota Vikings have to force a stop here. Handoff up the middle. Tank Bigsby first down. And unfortunately for Minnesota, the Jaguars are in victory formation to knock out the Vikings in the hunt. I guess it was too good to be true, but how about the Jaguars? They've been really good today. Well, our NFC standings are official. We have our 6 playoff teams. The Falcons just sneaked their way in at the 6. Now, you're probably wondering, what is the tiebreaker? Because the Falcons and Vikings finished with the same record, yet the Vikings didn't make it. Well, the tiebreaker I decided to do, because I'm not keeping track in depth, is just their placement in their division. So the Falcons had 2nd in the East, while the Vikings were 3rd in the Central, meaning the Falcons will get the 6th seed. However, we have quite the dilemma in the AFC. We also have 2 teams tied to the 6th seed, the Dolphins and Chargers at 92 and 70. But as you can see, the tiebreaker that I just said doesn't work because both of them are tied at 2nd in their division. So this only calls for one possible thing to do, and that's going to bring game 163 out of retirement. This doesn't happen in the MLB MLB anymore, but it's going to happen here because I didn't choose any other tiebreakers. The Chargers and Dolphins will have to play one single game, game 163, winner gets the 6th seed. So game 163, Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers are trailing by 1 point to Tyler Huntley and the Miami Dolphins, and it's going to be a third and a long 11. 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining. Justin Herbert's going to pass the football further than that, and he has a completion to the 37. Going to put us under 3 minutes after this play by Herbert on a cross. That's another first down. Let's see how much time they can burn up here. Could the Dolphins actually force a stop here on 3rd down and 1? It's going to be close. J.K. Dobbins couldn't get it. He goes backwards. I think this is the only decision you have. You have to go for this. You cannot kick a field goal from this distance. It would be well over 55 yards. 4th down and 2 for the LA Chargers. Herbert to pass, and he drops it. Oh my goodness. I have never seen a receiver in Madden drop a pass that open, and with the playoffs on the line. Joshua Palmer just screwed up the chances for the Chargers, and now they have to stop the Dolphins from getting a couple first downs. Final chance for the Chargers, first down Dolphins. And so the Dolphins will win game 163. Joshua Palmer better be deactivating his Instagram as we speak. He better change his profile picture just to a black square. And so now we've narrowed it down to 6 teams in both conferences, which gives us our playoff picture set. But before we look at it, let's take a look at all the stats of all the players I kept up with today. Now, I can tell you these are in no specific order, but Mahomes was the best passer in my opinion. 3,800 yards, 360 touchdowns, 92 picks, and averaging 236 yards per game. Jared Goff did pretty decent. 35,000 yards, 265 for 112 interceptions, 218 yards per game. And Josh Allen was the only quarterback to throw for 40,000 yards in the season, putting him at the most yards and the most yards per game at 248, while throwing 325 touchdowns but 116 interceptions. Now, nobody turned the ball over quite like Baker Mayfield did, but that's okay because he still had decent stats. 3,200 yards, or 32,000 I mean, 265 touchdowns and 201 yards per game. Sam Darnold didn't do as good as I thought he would did, but still pretty decent with 30,000 yards, 287 touchdowns and 101 interceptions. I know y'all probably thought including Dak Prescott's a really interesting choice, but he's a regular season merchant, so I just want to see how his numbers were looking. He got 35,000 yards, 290 touchdowns and 88 picks, so that's pretty solid, while also averaging 216 yards per game. Now, our final 2 quarterbacks, I kept track of some more stats. I want to see how they would rush as well. So 25,000 passing yards for the rookie Jaden Daniels, 210 touchdowns for 97 interceptions, and then rushing 3,600 yards, 57 touchdowns, while averaging 178 total yards per game on the ground and through the air. Now take everything Jaden Daniels did and make it better with Lamar Jackson. 27,000 yards, 217 touchdowns, only 82 interceptions, the least out of any quarterback. 5,500 rushing yards, almost 100 rushing touchdowns, and a total of 202 yards per game. Probably the second best quarterback today. Let's get to the receivers. The best one today, hands down, Amon-Ra St. Brown with 10,499 yards, 108 touchdowns, 818 catches, and averaging 12.8 yards per reception. Justin Jefferson did not do as good as I thought, but while increasing the injury and fatigue meter, the player's stats went tremendously down, so I don't blame him at all. 7,800 yards for 63 touchdowns, 765 catches, averaging 10.3 yards per catch. Solid season for Stephon Diggs, 8,600 yards, 73 touchdowns, 713 catches. Likewise for CeeDee Lamb, he had 9,100 yards, 73 touchdowns, and 791 receptions. The current receiving leader in real life is Nico Collins, so I was interested to see how he would perform in this for 8,500 yards, 78 touchdowns, and 714 receptions. And then the rookie Malik Neighbors, not the numbers I was expecting to see, but it does make sense because he did get injured in real life. I imagine he would get injured with 100 injury rating, almost 7,000 yards, 52 touchdowns, and 667 receptions. Another rookie, Marvin Harrison Jr., 7,200 yards with 72 touchdowns, just under 700 receptions. And our last receiver, not bad for Jaden Reed, 8,000 yards, 61 touchdowns, 747 receptions. Now to our running backs, which I thought the numbers would plummet real bad, but Derrick Henry surprisingly still pretty good. 8,000 yards, 107 touchdowns, almost 1,500 attempts, and average 5.6 yards per carry. Saquon Barkley looks really similar, just under 8,000 yards, just under 100 touchdowns, 1,400 attempts, 5.5 yards per carry. Alvin Kamara, not as good, but solid. 7,000 yards, 73 touchdowns, 1,375 attempts, 5.1 yards per carry. And then I wanted to include Jordan Mason because I imagine with the injury rating at 100, Christian McCaffrey would essentially be out every game, but I guess not because his numbers are not as high as I thought. Only 5,200 yards, 59 touchdowns, 1,200 attempts, and only averaged 4.3. Now, who was the better running back out of Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones? Well, Josh Jacobs had 8,300 yards, 76 touchdowns, 1,400 attempts, and averaged 5.8 yards per carry, the most out of all the running backs. And the answer to that question is Josh Jacobs. Aaron Jones only finished with 7,700 yards, 60 touchdowns, just under 1,500 attempts at 5.2 yards per carry. And now we can finally take a look at the official playoff bracket. This is exactly how it's set up in the MLB, and I'll explain it further. So for the wildcard round, instead of being a singular game, game, it's a best-of-3 series, which is all hosted by the higher seed. And then you get to the divisional series, which is a best-of-5 series. It goes 2 games for the higher seed, 2 games lower seed, and then game 5 necessary back to the higher seed. And then the conference series and the super series are best-of-7s. That being said, it's time to begin the playoffs. We'll start in the AFC wildcard with the newly joined Dolphins, who barely sneaked their way in, playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I can't believe Jacksonville's hosting a playoff game, but here we are. Tyler Huntley down by a touchdown in game number 1 of the wild card, starting with a first down pickup to the 50-yard line. 70 seconds remaining. Jalen Waddle in motion. I don't know how that was not blown up in the backfield, but it works. Tyreek Hill with a catch of the 22. They get to the line quick. No huddle with 44 seconds remaining. Tyler Huntley has to get rid of the football, but he can't do it. Trayvon Walker from the University of Georgia comes up with a sack, and it's going to put him in an uncomfortable situation with 10 seconds remaining. How about another? The Dolphins are going to lose game 1. Trayvon Walker again. Let's now go to the second wildcard in the AFC with game 1 of the Steelers and the Ravens. Justin Fields has to have a touchdown drive to take the lead here in Baltimore. I wouldn't want to have to punt the football here. It's a 3rd down and 4 for Justin Fields. Can he get out of the pocket? He cannot. He takes a sack for 4th and 10. Now they're forced to punt. So with 2 minutes and 20 seconds, here comes TJ Watt getting a sack on Lamar Jackson. That is huge, and that's probably going to bring us to the 2-minute warning. So 3rd down and 11, they're going to hand the football off again. Derrick Henry actually picks up some decent yardage, but they're going to punt the football back to Pittsburgh. Redemption drive for Justin Fields from his own 32. Solid start for 9. Down to 1 minute and 20 seconds. Justin Fields staying in the middle of the field once again. Not the smartest decision. We need to see Fields attack outside the numbers. We're under 1 minute. He does the exact same pass again. So 4th down and 5 for Justin Fields and the Steelers. What do they decide to do? The same pass again. The Steelers were given a silver platter to win that game again, and they failed. Their offensive playbook is stale as a rock. Now let's go to the NFC side of the wild card with the Falcons taking on the Seahawks. The 6th seed Falcons need a touchdown. They're down by 6 points. Can they get it here? Kirk Cousins gets it, and the Falcons win game 1 in Seattle. Now let's head to our last wild card matchup with the Lions and the Cowboys, where the Lions need to get this first down, 4th down and inches to stay alive. They're going to hand the football off, and it's going to be close, but it's a first down for Detroit. So they let the clock burn down to 40 seconds. 3rd down 11. It's 4th down territory no matter what. This is nowhere close to the marker. Sam Laporta goes down at 4th down and 4. So another 4th down needing to be converted by the Lions. This time it's 4 yards, and this is going to be intercepted by the Cowboys, and they're going to steal game 1 away from Detroit. So our wildcard game 1s are over. Now it's time to see if the teams that won can close it out going into game 2. So Miami needs to hold Jacksonville out of the end zone here if they want to have a chance for game number 3, but they won't do that. Instead, the Jaguars have a touchdown to take a 10-point lead. Tyler Huntley looking to answer back with a touchdown to Tyreek Hill, who stiff arms his way into the end zone, so now they're down by 3 once more. That was step 1. Here is step 2. Can they recover an onside kick? Not even close. So somehow, someway, the Jacksonville Jaguars will be the first team to move on to the divisional series after sweeping the Dolphins. The Steelers will put up 35 points in game 2, so there will be a game 3 in Baltimore. And how about the Atlanta Falcons, who will sweep the Seahawks both games on the road, and they will move on to the divisional series as well. And now the Lions will have a dominant game 2 victory, which means we'll have a game 3 in Detroit. So this leaves us with 2 game 3s to be played in the wild card: the Ravens versus Steelers and the Lions versus Cowboys, as the Jaguars and Falcons will be moving on to the next round already. Once again, their offensive play calls are awful. They need to go outside the numbers. That's the best thing they've done so far, and it actually goes backwards. So 3rd down and 7, Justin Fields has to pass the football. He does so on the run. They get the first down. Actually, it was close, but George Pickens gets railed, but he gets the first down. We're closing under 1 minute right now. Justin Fields, a nice completion to George Pickens to the 19. That's his best throw so far. Down to 43 seconds. Fields on a slant. It's going to be 8 yards. They're not going to call a timeout, and because of that, it puts him under 20 seconds with a 2nd and 1. Fields scrambles out of the pocket, picks up the first down at least, and he is in the end zone for the tying touchdown. The Steelers are going for 2. They don't want overtime. They want to end it here. Game 3. It's going to be a toss backwards. Good blocks. It's good. The Steelers lead. Najee Harris is in the end zone. Well, all of a sudden, it went from running out the clock to seeing if Lamar Jackson can get in field goal range with 11 seconds. Great start. I believe Zay Flowers has this one to the 43. And just like that, a field goal is out of the picture unless they draw pass interference. Lamar Jackson throwing it up to the left sideline. It's caught, but could not make his way to the end zone. The Steelers, with the gutsiest call in game 3, will win the series. All of a sudden, the Cowboys have marched their way within the 10-yard line, make it the 1-yard line, 2nd and goal. Will the Lions be able to make a goal line stop? Dak Prescott's going to throw from the 1-yard line. Interesting decision, and it pays out. Touchdown, Dallas. Did Jalen Tolbert have both feet in bounds? Oh, I think he did. With 25 seconds remaining, I'd say the Lions in about 10 more yards to get in range, but Jared Goff throws another interception. He threw one in game 1 to end it and game 3 to end it. And so the Dallas Cowboys will steal away this wildcard series and will move on to the divisional series to play the Green Bay Packers. And that concludes the wildcard. We're now going to the divisional. We have the Jaguars versus Chiefs, Steelers versus Bills, Falcons versus Eagles, and Cowboys versus Packers. A little bit different than the wild card because these are best of 5 series. First 2 games will be at the higher seed, then it'll rotate to the other team, and then game 5, if necessary, will go back to the higher seed. Game 1 in the divisional series, I have no clue what's gone into the Jaguars. They're doing much better here than they are in real life, and they're already inside field goal range. Could they get a touchdown and win game number 1? Down to 45 seconds left, Lawrence is going to pass once more, and this one's intercepted in the end zone. They cannot come up with any points whatsoever, and that's a brutal way to go out for game number 1 for the Jaguars. I thought this could end up being a sweep, but maybe they actually have a chance. Josh Allen has to go 89 yards, another risky pass, only picks up 6. Not to mention they need a touchdown at the 18-yard line, 3rd and 4. There's a flag on this play. It's going to be offensive holding, not a good look. Backed up to a 3rd down and 13 for Josh Allen. He backs up another flag. This is a 1st down in the process, but what will happen here? Back-to-back offensive holding calls. They ruled that last play a catch, so it's now 4th down and 11. TJ Watt trying to get his way to Josh Allen, but instead turnover on downs. The Steelers might steal game 1. And so yes, Pittsburgh steals game 1 away here in Buffalo. Let's go to the NFC. Approaching the 2-minute warning, one more play for Kirk Cousins. Probably should have waited till the 2-minute warning. It's a loss of 9 yards. Cousins will stay in the air as he's done so far, and it's going to be a touchdown for the Falcons to take the lead with 2 minutes remaining. There's still way too much time on the clock, however, and now the Falcons will go for 2 to make it a field goal difference, which they will not get it. And the Eagles will be returning this kick to the house, which means the Falcons have to do that again. Philadelphia takes the lead. Now the Eagles are going to go for 2 to make it a touchdown difference, which they will not get it as well, so it stays a 5-point game. Dead at the 1-minute mark, Cousins in some trouble, takes another sack. They call their second timeout. The last time Cousins took a sack for 9 yards, he threw a touchdown the very next play. A little deja vu? Not quite. It's going to be 3rd and long. 30 seconds remaining, 3rd down and 10. Kirk Cousins, good protection, fires down the middle of the field, incomplete, 4th and 10. So 4th and 10, who will take game number 1? Cousins airs it out. Double coverage, incomplete. Eagles take over the football. So Philadelphia holds on after a clutch kick return, winning game number 1. And so our final game 1 in the divisional series, can the Green Bay Packers hold on against Dak Prescott and the Cowboys? 1 minute remaining, no timeouts, open receiver, and running towards the end zone is Jake Ferguson, but he'll get tackled inbounds at the 24. They get back to the line with 30 seconds remaining. Dak Prescott towards the end zone. It's going to be a slant at the 6-yard line, 1st and goal to CeeDee Lamb. Will they be able to get one more play off? 4 seconds on the clock. They get it off. This is the final play. Dak Prescott in some trouble, flushed out of the pocket towards the end zone. Touchdown. No, dropped. What a wild and fast way to end game number 1 here in Lambeau, but the home team takes it. Let's go ahead and jump to our game 2s. Trevor Lawrence only has 12 seconds to do something. Maybe make up for that interception. That's a solid completion. 8 seconds remaining. One final play for Trevor Lawrence. 0 is on the clock, slinging it up towards the end zone to a man pile. Incomplete. Kansas City will take game 2. Looks as the Bills will tie the series, so we're going back to Pittsburgh. So will the Falcons. This series is tied, going to Atlanta. And the Packers will take a commanding 2-0 series lead, going to Dallas. So now the matchups are shifting. The Jaguars will be at home alongside the Steelers, Falcons, and Cowboys. And so game 3 back in Jacksonville. Can the Jaguars prevent a sweep starting in overtime, a pickup of 4 by Travis Etienne? To the 13 now, the Jaguars managing the clock very well in this overtime drive, and this is going to be the touchdown? No, they're going to fall just to the 1. Can the Chiefs come up with a defensive stop here at the goal line? They will not. Travis Etienne goes up and over for the first touchdown in overtime. Can Mahomes answer back with a touchdown himself? He will not. He'll throw an interception, which is going to end the game automatically, and the Jaguars will steal game 3 and survive in this series with a pick 6. So no sweeps in the divisional round. Now let's go to the Steelers and Ravens. Another game 3 overtime. This time it's the Bills and Steelers, where the Bills cannot pick up the first down to the 43-yard line, which I do not know if they can punt or kick a field goal from this distance. It's been around a 56, 57-yard field goal, so they're going to elect to punt the football, so the Steelers get some points on the board. Then they would take the lead and win this game, but what a punt, the 1-yard line. Najee Harris takes the outside handoff, picks a first down, gets past the safety, and cannot get past the rest of the secondary, but a first down run to the 48. Any points would win the game for the Steelers as they're already in Bills territory. George Pickens takes it to the 41, first down. Keep on running the football. Najee Harris hits the outside again. It's another first down, and they're well in range. So this field goal to win the game, it's about an extra point distance for the Pittsburgh Steelers to bring them to a 2-1 series lead. They got it. Now here's game 3 between the Falcons and the Eagles. Did the Eagles leave them too much time? I guess it doesn't matter because Kirk Cousins fumbles the football, and it's going to be a scoop and score, which means Kirk Cousins has to do it again and has to score a touchdown now. Down to 1 minute and 20 remaining on the clock. Kirk Cousins goes to go deep, and he finds Kyle Pitts will be running his way to the end zone for the equalizer. However, the Eagles get the football back with plenty of time. Can the Falcons get the football back? Jalen Hurts is going to throw this one up. It's caught caught by Devontae Smith to the 32. So for another game-winning field goal in game number 3, the Eagles will come to Atlanta and steal it away for a 2-1 lead. And for game 3 in Dallas, the Cowboys get it done, which means it's going to be another 2-1 series lead, still in favor of the Green Bay Packers. So all series currently at a 2-1 series difference. Let's see if any of these teams can punch their ticket to the conference games. So if the Jaguars can finish off this drive with at least some points, there will be a game 5 in Kansas City. There's a catch to the 13-yard line by Evan Ingram. Etienne takes the handoff, and they're going to score prematurely, giving Patrick Mahomes a chance to tie this game up at 35-28. Picks up 7. Mahomes to pass the football again after calling a timeout. Wide open at the Jaguars logo is Xavier Worthy to the 40-yard line. They have 50 seconds to find their way into the end zone. Mahomes, and he finds a first down completion to the 8. Diving is great. Under 30 seconds, that timeout is still in their back pocket, but I don't even know if they'll even need it. Staying in the flat, can't get the tackle, falling at the 2-yard line. They call their final timeout with 17 seconds. Third down and goal with 12 seconds. Mahomes, what does he decide to do? Towards the end zone, he throws another interception, and there will be game 5 in Kansas City. The Chiefs had a 2-0 series lead. They better not choke this away. Well, it looks like we'll have another game 5 because the Steelers offense is the most stereotypical offense they usually are. They only scored 6 points in game 4. And we'll be seeing a third game 5 between the Eagles and Falcons going back to Philadelphia. But looking to force game 5, look at the score of this game. If the Cowboys can find the end zone and the 2-point conversion, well, never mind that. Like I was trying to say, if the Cowboys find the end zone and tie, it would probably be the third game in NFL history where both teams have scored 50 points. And look at this, a completion, which is going to put 6 on the board. No, drop to the 1. The Cowboys call their final timeout. That goes to Tolbert. I have never cheered for the Cowboys more than I have right here. They need the touchdown. Very risky pass. Second and goal from the 1. Dak Prescott looking to pass the football again. Oh, it's a drop. There's no way the Packers make a goal line stand. Another pass. Another bad pass, actually. Fourth and goal. So fourth down and goal. They decide to run the football. It doesn't work. Oh my goodness. Biggest choke ever at the 1-yard line. I have to talk about that Eric Stokes tackle from earlier who stopped Tolbert from getting in the end zone, dropped him at the 1, and the Packers make 4 straight stops. However, the Green Bay Packers cannot kneel the football. Can the Cowboys get a safety? They will not. This game is over. And the Green Bay Packers drop a 50 bomb in game 4, and they will be the first team to clinch their way to the NFC Conference Championship games. So 3 Game 5s upcoming. Who will join the Green Bay Packers in the championship series? Final chance in Game 5 for the Jacksonville Jaguars to complete the comeback. They need a touchdown drive, but Trevor Lawrence fumbles the football, stands there like an NPC, and lets them scoop and score it, and the Kansas City takes a 30-20 lead. No, seriously, I want to see a replay of this. Why did Trevor Lawrence just stand there like I held a GTA citizen at gunpoint? Look at that. Cam Newton made a better job trying to get the football in the Super Bowl than that. Well, the Jaguars got one back. Maybe they can recover an onside kick. They also got the 2-point conversion. Can they get the onside kick recovery? It's a solid bounce, and it was touched too early. And unfortunately, everybody hates this, but there will be no comeback and upset here in the Jacksonville Chiefs series. The Kansas City Chiefs have clinched their way to the AFC Conference Series. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh forgot to show up in Game 5, which means the Bills will play the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship Series. Final Game 5, the Falcons currently have a lead, but that could definitely change. And touchdown to Saquon Barkley in the back of the end zone. Falcons are closing in on field goal range, but they can definitely get 6 if they really want to. Here's a catch inside Eagles territory. Possibly one more attempt at a touchdown. Can they get it done right here? It's going to be close and falling at the 1-yard line. That was Ray McCloud. Now they're going to pass the football again, which Cousins has the touchdown. The Falcons take the lead. Can Jalen Hurts find the end zone with 30 seconds remaining and 3 timeouts? That's a solid start. Look at this. Breaking tackles. Devontae Smith. Can he outrun the secondary for the Falcons? Yes. Eagles take the lead back. Complete turn of the events for the Atlanta Falcons. Can they get it back? No. Cousins takes a sack. And the Eagles steal away Game 5 and will move on to play the Green Bay Packers. This was essentially equivalent of hitting a walk-off in the bottom of the 9th. And we've made it to the championship series with the Chiefs versus Bills and Eagles versus Packers. These, of course, will be played in best of 7s. It's going to be played in 2-3-2 format. So, for example, the Packers get 2 home games, then the Eagles get 3 home games, and then the Packers get 2 more. Bills need to get a couple first downs if they can get out of Game 1 with a victory. Josh Allen just throws it up for a gain of like 70 yards to Keon Coleman. All they needed was simply 1 first down. Instead, Josh Allen just ices the game. So a dominant Game 1 win for the Bills as they add on another field goal to win 45-35. Here's Game 1 between the Eagles and Packers. Can the Eagles get the first down to steal game number 1 away? They will be short by 1 yard. Packers call their final timeout. So Jordan Love will get a chance to tie this game up. Here's some pressure by the Eagles, and Jordan Love is intercepted on the very first pass, and the Eagles will steal game 1 away in Green Bay. We'll stay here for game number 2. The Bills Bills currently up by 3 scores, 34-10, and the Chiefs cannot answer back with the time they have remaining. The Buffalo Bills will take a 2-0 series lead going back to Kansas City. Third down and inches, handoff, and it's going to be backed up, a loss of 4.5 yards, 4th and 5. The two Georgia boys with the interior pressure, that was Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean, to make it a 4th and 5. Can the Packers prevent from going down 2-0? It's a pass completed, first down. Love to pass on first down. Another first down. This is going to be inside the 20 to the 18. Touchdown win the game for the Green Bay Packers, and Jordan Love will get it. The Green Bay Packers walk it off with Romeo Doubs. So now the series are shifting to the other team's homes, including Kansas City and Philadelphia. Because this is MLB format, they're going to get 3 straight home games, a little bit different than the NHL and NBA best of 7 series. So let's see if Kansas City can prevent going down 3-0. Well, I'd like to say this is a must win for Kansas City because coming back down 3-0 is basically impossible in best of 7 series. Here's the first down to the 35. Just like that, down to 30 seconds to get an end zone touchdown, and there it is right there. Now they need the 2-point conversion. So to tie the game up at 34, Mahomes to pass, in some trouble. Can he get it off? He cannot. The Bills take him down. Harrison Butker attempting an onside kick, and it's actually going to be recovered by Buffalo? That could have been a miracle for Kansas City, but instead they're down 3-0 to the Buffalo Bills. We'll stay here for game number 4. Now let's catch up in the NFC. The Green Bay Packers are destroying the Eagles here in game 3. They're going to take a 2-1 series lead, and we're staying here in Philadelphia for game 4. Well, this will be a game-winning kick for Harrison Butker in overtime for the Kansas City Chiefs, and congratulations, they prevented the sweep. Let's see if they can keep it rolling with game number 5. So now in game 4, the Eagles are in jeopardy of going down 3-1 in this series. They have under a minute to score a touchdown. They need to hurry up and snap the football, and they didn't even get it off. So the Eagles just wasted 30 seconds and got a delay of game call. Can they make up for it? This is going to be A.J. Brown, first down to the 28. Good thing Brown got out of bounds. It stops the clock. On a cross is Dallas Goedert. He's going to be inside the 10-yard line. I always forget it's pronounced Goddard. Here's going to be a touchdown pass, which is going to take the lead for Philadelphia to Devontae Smith. 28 seconds and 3 timeouts. Can Jordan Love get a field goal on the board? They're already to the 41-yard line. Jordan Love might get sacked here, and he will. Loss of 10 yards. They have time for probably one more play. It has to be out of bounds, however, with 10 seconds. Looks like Jordan Love actually wants to go to the end zone, and that's not going to pay off. The Philadelphia Eagles will tie the series up at 2-2. Will Kansas City be able to close out another victory here in game 5? Check down for Buffalo. First down to James Cook and more inside the 20. Another third down for Buffalo. Josh Allen the pass needing 6 yards. Instead, he gets the touchdown. The Bills take the lead. Just over a minute, third down and 1, and this is going to be complete to midfield and more. I think that's Juju as he gets to the 37. Looks like game 5 will be going to overtime if Harrison Butker can make this with the uprights. Yes, he will. Third down and 7, already into Kansas City territory. Josh Allen going deep. It's going to be 4th and 7. So all Mahomes needs is another field goal drive. He throws another interception, and the Bills get it right back. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are like the Philadelphia Phillies or LA Dodgers. They win 100 games in the regular season, and they have nothing to show for it in the postseason. Here's a 50-yard kick by Tyler Bass, and the Bills will be moving on to what I'm calling the Super Series. Final score 37-34. Nice little gentleman's sweep. Now, who will take the series lead going back to Green Bay? Currently 28-21. Can the Green Bay Packers tie it? They get a field goal on the board. Can they get a touchdown drive? They will. Eagles need to respond. It's going to overtime, in which the Eagles get a walk-off touchdown. They take the lead 3-2 in the series. So game 6 will be going back to Lambeau, and if necessary, game 7 as well will be in Green Bay. Who will make it to the Super Series to play the Buffalo Bills? So the Packers got to fend off the Eagles here if they want to have a game 7, and here's a touchdown by Philadelphia. Extra point takes the lead. Devontae Smith has been a late game hero for the Eagles. Maybe Jordan Love won't throw an interception this time. He has 20 seconds to get about 50 yards. That only picks up 6. Season's on the line. You got to look further than that. That's a solid completion to the 45. They need one more of those quickly if they want to get in range for a field goal. 4 seconds left. I think this is going to burn up the entire clock. Looking for a touchdown, and almost caught by Christian Watson, but the Eagles will be moving on to the Super Series. And so here it is, the Bills versus Eagles in the Super Series, a combination of the Super Bowl and the World Series. It's the exact same format, best of 7. We're starting with 2 games at the home team, which is going to be the Buffalo Bills because they finished with a better regular season record. Well, finally, I got this green screen to work. Nah, I'm just back home. Let's go to the Super Series for game 1. Very low scoring affair in game number 1, but the Buffalo Bills will take a 1-0 series lead. But then the Philadelphia Philadelphia Eagles will answer back in Game 2, stealing this one away from the Buffalo Bills. We're now going to Philadelphia for Games 3, 4, and 5. And the Eagles will win this first game, taking a 2-1 series lead in Philadelphia. But then the Bills will answer right back to tie the series at 2-2. Now, Game 5 is very important. Whoever wins it takes a 3-2 series lead. We're staying here in Philadelphia. And I think both teams know the importance of this game because it's gone to overtime where the Bills will strike first blood with a touchdown 30-24 as we stand. Of course, the Eagles still get a possession in overtime, down by a touchdown. Jalen Hurts gets out of the pocket. He's going to run for the first down himself, past midfield, and falls at the 42-yard line. But he also gets injured on that very same play. Who comes in for him? It's Kenny Pickett himself. First down to 38. He's taking over in overtime. It looks like Kenny Pickett's playing right now because he somehow avoids this sack and still loses a yard. Just outside the red zone for the Philadelphia Eagles, Kenny Pickett has got to get rid of this football, and he takes a sack on second down. Everything's fourth down territory from here. 3rd and 15. Kenny Pickett gets it all back. At the 11-yard line, Jalen Hurts is back in the game, and he throws a touchdown, his very first pass back in the lineup to Jahan Dotson. So can Josh Allen answer back with some points himself? It looks like he will with the first pass already in field goal range. I believe Shakir to the 19. Well, so much for that Kenny Pickett / Jalen Hurts drive, as the Buffalo Bills, with a field goal kick to win here in Philadelphia, will take a 3-2 series lead. And even worse for the Eagles, we're going back to Buffalo for Game 6. The Bills can close it out here, but let's see if the Eagles can force Game 7. 10-10 the fourth quarter. Can the Eagles force game number 7, going to another overtime? They score first touchdown, so do the Bills. Eagles can't respond back. They get the ball back again. We will have Game 7 here in Buffalo. Game 7 staying in Buffalo. The Philadelphia Eagles will need another touchdown drive, and here in regulation, down by a touchdown. What just happened there? What? So apparently he was down to the 44-yard line before Spider-Man slinging the ball 20 yards down the field. Anyways, 3 minutes left. Jalen Hurts takes off. First down inside the 39. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Jalen Hurts first down. They also refused to call one of their 3 timeouts, which leaves us with 1 minute and 20 seconds. It better pay off. It's going to be close here. First and goal to 4. Under 1 minute remaining. Will the Bills make a stop at the goal line? They will not. Touchdown Eagles. Bills start the football in overtime. Hopefully they do something better than that last drive. That's already a solid start. Just outside field goal range too. They need this first down, and they're going to get it, and they're actually going to get 6 points on the board instead. The Keon Coleman. So once again, same situation. The Eagles need a touchdown drive in overtime. Hopefully Kenny Pickett doesn't come in the game again, but what a start for Jalen Hurts and Jahan Dotson. Just outside the red zone now. The Eagles are taking their sweet old time on this drive. That's more like it. A touchdown to tie it with A.J. Brown, unless they go for 2, which they will not, meaning they'll give the ball back to Josh Allen again. He did the exact same thing last time and won the game on it. Can the Eagles get the football back? 3rd and 7 for Josh Allen, and they will. What a pass deflection. And just like that, all the Eagles need is a field goal, but it's going to be 3rd and 4 at the 46-yard line. Will the Bills get the football back again? Passing. First down inside Bills territory to the 39. The Bills need to force a stop here, but Saquon Barkley's going to get close to a first down. And finally, in triple overtime to win the Super Series here in Game 7, the kick is up, and it is good. The Eagles win after 180 total games of playing in an MLB schedule. Well, here's a look at the final postseason bracket with the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Series. And that's going to put a conclusion on today's episode. In total, I simulated a total of 2,477 games throughout the regular season and postseason combined. If I was to give an MVP out, it would probably be Patrick Mahomes. Kind of stereotypical, but still, 38,000 yards, 360 touchdowns, and 92 picks. Really solid ratio. It was also like the only quarterback who showed no signs of slowing down. The fatigue did not faze him. So yeah, that concludes the end of today's video. I want to thank you guys for being very patient. Hopefully I don't have to go through another natural disaster again. To make up for it, I posted a poll in the community tab. I want you guys to vote for my next imperialism episode, which I'll begin working on shortly. Right now, NFL Reset is leading, but I just want to see your votes anyways, because it'll help determine what comes next after that. So anyways, thank you guys for watching another video, and I will see you guys next time.